Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Mads, and this is a belated March TBR. My plan was to have started my channel March 1st, and then my second video would be my March TBR because that would be appropriately timed. However, that didn't work out, but that's still my schedule for how I was planning on filming videos, and I was like, okay, well, it is pretty much halfway through the month, but I've been in a little bit of a slump, so I haven't read all of these. I've read some of them. I will try to not say which ones I have already read, because I'd like to, reveal that in my wrap-up. But there may be a few that you can tell. That's my plan. And two things. One, it's a little bit gloomy today. The lighting may change. I'm filming outside, so that's kind of hazard of that. And then the other thing is, with filming outside, lots of noises, lots of distractions, lots of spring mating animals, and therefore it may be hard for me to focus, but I will do my best. I'll try to keep the distractions for you to a minimum, but they probably will still sneak in here. Now, this TBR consists of 15 books, which would normally be pretty easy for me to achieve, but again, I've been kind of slumpy, and in January I read 6 books, which is a lot, but not a lot for me. So I'm optimistic that I will be able to reach this, but there may be some that get sacrificed. I have the 15 books written down, and I'm not the greatest at describing what books are about, especially if I haven't read them, so I do have the little Goodreads blurb screenshot in case I need to use that to tell you what the book is about. My moods for this month, also, I didn't say this, but my mood for this month is kind of all over the place. Again, operating off of the library makes it to where I'm kind of at the mercy of which books are available, but I am starting to lean into spring reads, or more cottagecore whimsical fantasy versus some of the heavier dark wintry fantasy. Jumping into the books. The first book that I'm planning on reading in the month of March is Wings of Starlight by Alison Saft. Let me move over a little bit so I can put it. First off, this cover is gorgeous. That is 50% of me wanting to read it. This is Disney's novelization / retelling of the story of Queen Clarion and Lord Mallory from the Tinkerbell franchise that they did a few years ago. It was quite a while ago. My younger sister was obsessed with these when we were growing up, and so therefore I watched them a lot, and I always loved the forbidden romance. If you don't know, Pixie Hollow is set up, there's the tree, and then there's light talent fairies and tinker fairies and water fairies and garden fairies and whatever, but there's also the 4 seasonal quadrants, right? And so you have spring and summer and fall and winter. This is a continuity error, but in one of the movies you find out there's a robin. Hello. You find out that the warm fairies are not allowed to go into cold land, and cold fairies are not allowed to come into warm land. Part of that is because of an ill-fated romance between Queen Clarion and Lord Mallory, and this book is detailing that experience. I'm always hesitant with Disney novels because some of them are really good and some of them are atrocious, but this one really appeals to me. I'm excited about that one. The next book on my list is Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales by Heather Fawcett. This is the third and final book in the Emily Wilde trilogy. I'm gonna get this out. I love this trilogy so much. I'm not ready for it to end. Funnily enough, I wasn't the biggest fan of book 1 when I read it. I felt like it was kind of a mess, and it had some elements that I felt like weren't handled with care, and the romance didn't appeal to me. Nothing worked. Nothing. I'm saying nothing worked. I rated it 3 stars. I did have a good time with it. But then I read book 2. And book 2 holds such a space in my heart. I don't know what happened. I don't know what it did, but it means a lot to me. I can't tell you what this book is about specifically because it is book 3, but in case you somehow don't know what this series is about, the synopsis for book 1, a curmudgeonly professor journeys to a small town in the far north to study fairy folklore and discovers dark fae magic, friendship, and love in the start of a heartwarming and enchanting new fantasy series. I would say it's cozy fantasy adjacent. It does get pretty dark, and so if you're somebody cozy fantasy to you means low stakes, nothing bad happens, this is not cozy fantasy, but for me it is the type of fantasy that feels cozy. I keep looking at myself, I apologize. I love the series. It's very got whimsical cottagecore vibes. The next book on my list is Another plane. The next book on my list is Wheel of Time, The Shadow Rising by Robert Jordan. This is book 4 in the Wheel of Time series. This is a ginormous, expansive, adult, epic fantasy series. Just please ignore the airplane. I'm so sorry. It's set in a futuristic version of our world, but it's been so long that our world has become a fantasy world, if that makes sense. Basically, there is this magical energy, it's called the One Source, that only women can channel, if men channel it, if there's like a man channeler and he has the ability to pull on the source, it will taint him, he will go insane, and then subsequently destroy everyone around him, including himself, and that's not so good. There is legend that tells of the dragon being reborn, which the dragon was like a mythical human figure who could channel, and if the dragon reborn comes back, either they will break the world or save it. And so the series follows possible dragons, people who are touched by like fate, for lack of better terms, the people who are trying to use the dragon for good purposes or bad purposes, whatever. And season 3 is about to come out, and I thought that I just needed to read up to I needed to read up to book 3, but it turns out that they are skipping most of that, which is incredibly valid because book 3 was boring as hell. So I do need to read book 4, but this one is the highest likelihood of not actually being completed by the end of the month because it is very big and intimidating, but I do need to read it. The next book on my list is Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Bastone. This is the newest release from the author of Ready or Not, which was one of my top books of last year. I rated it 5 stars. It was the first romance book I've ever rated 5 stars. This one focuses on a woman who just lost her best friend, and like permanently lost her best friend. She didn't like lose her, and she is struggling with grief, and she meets a grumpy guy, and he promises to help her figure out how to live again. And that's like the premise of the book. Everyone that has read this has had incredible things to say about it, and when I say incredible things to say about it, a lot of them have posted pictures of themselves sobbing when they finish it, which is a high recommendation for me. I love books that make me cry. Don't psychoanalyze that, I don't know. The next book is The Love Simulation by Etta Easton. This is the newest release from the author of Airplanes Again. This is the newest release from the author of The Kiss Countdown, and which is a book I read in February, and I really liked it. Felt like a DCOM Hallmark, you know, like that kind of like where it's fluffy but without the like, well, that was embarrassing, you know. It really worked well with that. So loved that one. And this is one of the ones that I said that it's going to be obvious that I actually read it. This one was not my favorite. This one follows a vice principal and a science teacher as they sign up for like a competition to try to win money, but they learn that maybe the true jackpot is their relationship. Moving on. The next book that I would like to read in March is The Starlight Heir by Amelie Howard. I'm going to be entirely honest with you. I picked this up because the cover. I love it. It's so pretty. Look at it. It's so gorgeous. It's described as a scorching romantasy, and traditionally, scorching romantases and I, not the biggest fans of each other. However, I am completely willing for that to change, and this beautiful cover seems like it would. I also think this has to do with like fallen gods too or something, and I love that. That's one of my favorite fantasy tropes, things, whatever. The next book on my list is Big Fan by Alexandra Romanoff. This one I am hesitant about because it's kind of out of my comfort zone. This is basically the like traditional like, hang on, I'm gonna read the synopsis because we're all gonna have an easier time. A political strategist tainted by a scandalous ex finds an unexpected career detour when her teenage boy band crush offers a second chance at the spotlight and maybe something more. Eden Jonas has recommended this, and I trust her recommendations. Even if this sounds like it's out of my wheelhouse, I'm more likely to try to branch out with things when people I trust like them. So I'm excited to give this a try, and at the very least, I'm hoping it'll be entertaining. You know, I'd like a little entertainment. Okay. The next book is, I can never remember this author's name, and this is the only book on this list I actually own. The next book is Divine Mortals by Amanda M. Hellender. So this one I found while I was thrifting. It was listed as a kid's book, so it was 25 cents, and I was like, I'll try it. Sorry, the goats are slamming up against the fence to scratch their backs. What was I saying? Oh, this is like, she can see everyone's soulmate, but she doesn't want to be matched with hers because he's the king. I know very little about it, but I would like to read it, and it's on my physical TBR, and I'm about to sell some books at Price Books, so I'd like to figure out if that's one I want to keep or whatever. I keep freaking out that the camera's going to stop filming, so if you notice I'm talking really fast, that's why. I'm so sorry. The next book is Vanya and the Wild Hunt by Sangu Mandana. That's the author of The Very Secret Society of Regular Witches, which is one of my favorite romance books. I love that one so much. It's so cute. This one is... Let's go back to the descriptions, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Goodreads. Okay. This enchanting middle grade fantasy inspired by Indian mythology and British folklore about a neurodivergent heroine, a mysterious school, and a world of magical creatures. That sounds fantastic. I love it. Perfect. The creature that she's riding on the cover looks so much like Skedaseth from the Fallen Gods trilogy. And if you haven't read that, I love him so much. And so I'll pick it up for that reason specifically, but also the entire thing sounds fantastic. The next book is The Capital of Dreams by Heather O'Neill. I'm going to be entirely honest with you. I don't remember putting this on hold from the library. I don't. It came in and I was like, I don't remember what this is. I don't remember what it's about. But it seems interesting. And I like the cover. The Goodreads little first synopsis thing is a dark dystopian fairy tale about an idyllic country ravaged by war and a girl torn between safety and loyalty. Seems kind of basic, but seems very interesting, and I'm excited to see where they go from there. The next book on my list is Confessions of a Junior Spy by Rosaria Munda. That's the author of the Aurelian Cycle, which is my favorite trilogy. Every book I've read by her has been 5 stars. It would be like, those are like my 6-star books. And this one is her middle grade debut, which is basically Eloise at the Plaza meets John Wick. And if you know anything about me, that is perfect. That is everything that I've wanted in a middle grade, and I am so excited. I actually have an arc of it. I think it comes out in June, ? The next book on my list is another arc, and this is 10 Incarnations of Rebellion by Vaishnavi Patel. I've watched videos of the author pronouncing her name to try to make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. I still feel like it sounds wrong when I say it, so if you notice that sounded abhorrently wrong, I am very sorry. I did try. I promise I did. Anyway, this one, the publisher actually reached out to me asking if I wanted to read it. It is an epic and daring novel that imagines an alternate version of India that was never liberated from the British and a young woman who will change the tides of history. Enough said. That sounds fantastic. I'm excited. I haven't read any other books by this author, but I've heard fantastic things about them, and I've been meaning to pick up her book, so this seems like a good place to start. The next book on my list is What Wakes the Bells by Ella Tesh. This is, again, a fantastic cover. I love this cover so much. I love the, church vibes. I keep thinking something's going to jump out at me. Maybe it will. How exciting. Goodreads says, inspired by an ominous Prague legend, What Wakes the Bells is a lavish gothic fantasy by debut author Ella Tesh. I'm excited. It looks wonderful. I think it has to do with fantasy religions and fantasy gods and fantasy saints and legends and superstition and stuff, and I love stuff like that. That's my favorite type of, I don't know why I keep doing this movement, woohoo! That's my favorite stuff. So I'm excited, and again, the cover's fantastic. So the second to last book, we're almost done. Second last book is The Shadow Cabinet by Juno Dawson. This is the sequel to Her Majesty's Royal Coven, which is a series I started last year. I felt kind of middling to positive about that one. I felt like the villain was really cartoonish and the plotting and pacing could have used some help, but I really loved the discussions had in it. I love the discussions of witchcraft and womanhood and queerness and misogyny and all of the things that go into that. If you haven't heard of the series, Juno Dawson, the author, explores gender and the corrupting nature of power in a delightful and provocative story of magic and matriarchy, friendship and feminism, dealing with all the aspects of contemporary womanhood as well as being phenomenally powerful witches. Neve, Helena, Leonie, and Elle may have grown apart, but they will always be bound by the sisterhood of the coven. Or will they? It doesn't say that, but I'm just saying. That doesn't sound too promising. The 15th and final book on this list is Fathom Folk by Eliza Chan. This one has not received the greatest reviews since coming out. It has a 3.15 average rating on Goodreads, I think, which isn't terrible, but it does speak to the fact it is not, I have a hair, sorry. It does speak to the fact that it is not universally loved. But I've been really curious about this one. I had it marked to read since before it came out, and I still want to get to it. I've had it tabbed to borrow from the library for a while, and I'd like to give it a try. I have both the audiobook and the ebook borrowed, so hopefully I can switch between them. But to give you a very brief synopsis of what it is about, a modern myth-inflected story of revolution and magic set against the glittering, semi-submerged city of... I can't pronounce it. I will put the city title right here. Perfect for fans of Jade City and the Bone Shard Daughter. Welcome to shining pearl of human civilization and a safe haven for those fleeing civil unrest. Or at least, that's how it first appears. That seems interesting enough, and I'm excited to give it a try. That was my list of the 15 books that I would like to get to in March. As I said, I've gotten to some of them but those are my hopefuls. I'm optimistic that it seems like a good reading month. I feel like I have a decent variety of things that I know I'm probably going to like and things that are a little bit outside of my comfort zone or maybe haven't gotten the best reviews. Hopefully, you enjoyed this video. If you've watched this far, thank you so much. If you've read any of these or you're planning on reading any of these, I would love to hear your opinions or just what you're planning on reading in March. I started this because I love talking about books, so if you have anything book related that you would love to talk about, I'm more than happy to. This is my second video, and as such, I do feel like it is a little still, or still a little disjointed or a little funky, but I'm working on it and hopefully it'll just get better. But yeah, thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Again with the not outro.